G- Girlscript Fatorda welcomes you for your second day of internship in content writing. For a quick briefing, Girlscript is a Section 8 non-profit company registered under the Government of India and is India's first and biggest Indian origin technical community. Girlscript is open for everyone, irrespective of gender or age, and supports beginners in technology and programming. For more information about our community and various programs and opportunities, do visit the website given in the chat box.
We will provide the link in a short while. Words inspire, and the right words can get you to the right audience. To be a good content writer, you will have to create effective written materials for websites and other types of media. So let's join our speaker, Ella, and explore the page and its wonder from scratch. Please take over.
So yeah, can we start?
Yes. Okay.
Before starting, I would like to know from the management of Girlscript, what field does the maximum portion of the crowd belong to, so that I can take the webinar that way.
We have a mixed crowd over here. Majority of them, I guess, they belong to the engineering section, but we have juniors and someone from journalism and then other various fields, art field and all.
Hmm.
So yeah, we have a diverse audience.
Okay, I can hear some noises around here. I request everybody to please put off your mics. And if you have any questions, you can please interrupt me and ask your questions right away. Yeah. So yeah, let's begin. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, content writing, a beginner's way to writing. So today we'll be discussing about how to write qualitatively, not necessarily quantitatively. Also, what are the factors that make the writing appealing? How to write. Also, we are discussing widely about freelancing. What are the do's and don'ts of freelancing? How to start. If you're a beginner, then you must be unaware of the world of freelancing. So we are learning all of that today. So this is a small brief about my journey to becoming a content writer. I started writing in school, and my essays were shown to the entire class. How to write. This is how you write. So that kind of boosted an encouragement in me to write more. I always wrote well. I would keep a diary with me. I would note down whatever happened during those days. I would write it as a story. So that kind of gave me an encouragement and also motivated me that yes, I can write and this is what I like doing. Fast forward to engineering, I did my BE in information technology. A friend of mine who ran a poetry page approached me because she had a poetry page back then and she was looking for a co-author to run the page with her. So she approached me saying that would you like to be a co-author to my writing page? I gave it a thought. I realized that I wanted something of my own, something to that I can experience. I can start from scratch so that I can leave my journey from scratch to building something of my own. So that's how I created my page, The Visionary Woman, which looks something like this. Now we have 500 plus followers and 700 plus quotes, short stories, book reviews, everything you can think of. So let's move to the actual content. So if you say content as a noun, anything you create is content, not necessarily a written piece. It can be a video, podcast, voice notes, even the latest in trend are memes. That is content too. So content not necessarily be in written form or physical copy, but it can be in digital media like videos, podcasts, and even short videos, YouTube videos. It's all content. So basically, internet era started with content. Content was created back then. It is still being created and will be created in the future. So there's a lot of content that's going on, going in and around the world. So, but there are two categories basically. There's worst content and best content. You must be knowing the guys or the writers who have written so beautifully and have been renowned for their work. They are even remembered today. And there are writers whose writing went unnoticed and nobody knows that they were writers. So how to write qualitatively? Anybody can write, but how to stand out as a content creator? That's what we are going to look at it now. So factors that make content appealing. The first being the font. So font is of utmost importance in if you're writing a written document. For an example, if you're writing a document, your first paragraph cannot be in Times New Roman font and the next being in italic form. That's just not matching. That's not a structure you would want others to see. Obviously, when you're writing something, if you're taking your content from a website or if you're quoting a person or a leader or a politician, you always put it in quotes and you make the font italic. You do not make it a normal font. That way, the reader knows that this is taken from somewhere and it is not your opinion. Say suppose the opinion or the quote is controversial, the reader knows that this has been already said by a leader, or you're not saying it, this is not your opinion, and they cannot hold you accountable for what is being written in the document because that's not your content. Also, if you copy some 3-4 lines from Reader's Digest or somewhere from any other website, then the original writer can sue you for copywriting. So you're violating copywriters' rights. So do not plagiarize your content. Also, font, as I said, if you're quoting somebody, always put it in italic font. And the standard font would be Times New Roman because it looks presentable, it looks desirable, and the reader would want to read your document. Next is spellings. Spellings, again, they express the sentences you write, they express the meaning. You do not want your reader to get confused because you wrote dear, that is DEAR, instead of dear, that is DEEER. So you do not want your readers to get confused what you mean exactly. So get your spellings correct. If you're not familiar with certain spellings, if you're not sure, confident of your vocabulary or spellings, then you can always go to Google. Google is your best friend. It is your go-to friend. It is never going to say no to you. It is always going to be there for you. It's going to always help you. So always Google your spellings. Take the spelling. You can copy paste the spellings. Or the other way could be you can remember the spelling, learn the spelling, remember it, and then write it in your document. That way, you're remembering the spelling, correcting yourself, and making sure that you're not repeating or not forgetting the spelling ever again. So that's all about spellings. The next is grammar. Spellings are a part of grammar, but not necessarily the entire grammar, because grammar is a huge field again. It consists of punctuations, spellings, even phrases. So I've seen most of the people writing the past tense of the verb in front of the some of the phrases. Like if you're using did not, then you're supposed to use the present tense of the verb. So you're not going to say did not told or did not hold, did not told, did not held, or did not knew. You're always going to say the present tense of the verb, which is did not know, did not tell, or did not hold. So that is one of the common mistakes that people do. And I would recommend that you please learn the grammar correctly if you are stepping in the field of content writing. Also, there's most commonly made mistakes such as does not, knows. This is incorrect grammar. The correct grammar would be does not know, does not tell. So make it a point that you improve upon your grammar. Again, punctuations are important. So there's a difference between hi, comma, how are you? Question mark. And and the other phrase could be hi, how are you? Another example, fine, I'm fine, full stop. What about you? Question mark. And there's this sentence, I'm fine, what about you? So there's a lot of difference between the two sentences just because of small punctuation. So whenever you're writing something, always make it a point that you're including punctuation so the reader knows that how you want to say the sentences. The reader does not know you in person, does not know your behavior or your character, the tone you speak. The reader is going to assume without punctuation, the reader is going to assume that you're being rude or aggressive or whatsoever. So always include punctuations in your document. The next being size. For example, if you're writing a written piece, your first paragraph is of size 16 and the next being of size 8. The reader is going to find it very difficult to relate to both the paragraphs. The reader is going to lose interest and never come back to your writing piece. That way you're losing readers, but you do not want that to happen. So what you do instead, make a structured document, keep your size of the document uniform throughout the piece. So if the ideal size would be 12 to 16, if you want your document to have bigger words or bigger size, then make sure that you increase the size between the two sentences accordingly. The ideal would be 1 to 1.5 centimeters. That way your document looks well presented, desirable and attractive. So reader would want to read your document. So size again matters a lot. It may look small of a factor, but it is not, trust me. Again, the quality, the master of all of these factors, the quality is of utmost importance while writing. So when I mean quality, I do not mean using high-end words like having a huge vocabulary with you. No, that's not what I mean. By quality, I mean writing well. If you're writing a research-based article, say suppose something like Indian Constitution, then you would write every point to describe how you have researched about it, how your writing is based on facts and not your own opinions. Even if you're presenting your opinions, then present it smoothly. Do not be aggressive while writing. Do not use words that would be a slang or that wouldn't be welcomed by the other person, basically a reader. Moving on. Now we spoke about quality, but how to create quality content? That's the question. So the first is know what you want to write. Knowing what you want to write will give you freedom to think widely. So by what you want to write, I mean, say suppose if you want to write a research-based article. So if you want to write a research-based article, make sure that you have researched enough. If it's an opinionated article, then that's again different style. There's again a different flow. If you want to take a simple topic like writing about yourself or writing about environment, say suppose, then that's again a different niche. If you want to write something in clothing, say suppose Banarasi silk, then again that's a different niche in clothing. So you decide what you want to write about and then begin writing. The next, after deciding what you want to write, note down the important points of the piece. You must be aware that what you want to include in your written piece. So once you decide that these are the 5 points that I want to include in my written document, note down those points and then elaborate it. Do not elaborate it at first because there's a strong chance that you may forget the other points and you wouldn't be able to find yourself, you'll be lost in the document. So because according to the research, there are 60,000 thoughts that comes in a person's mind every single day. So those 60,000 thoughts are 60,000 thoughts and that could be anything. So if you want to really concentrate and not forget why you began writing this document, then always note it down. The third being do not teach. Nobody likes to be taught or told anything, right? And in case of written document, do not teach, never teach. So, for an example, to understand it better, instead of saying you must have done that, or you must have chosen that, or you must have said this, you can say uh, it would be better if you do this, because then you can present your facts. So that way, your the reader understands your thought chain. Also, does not the reader does not think that the person is being too opinionated and too self-righteous, and is not giving the freedom to read, or is imbibing the thoughts he wouldn't want to have. See your writing document as a friend. Make it always write like you are talking to a friend. Imagine that you're having a conversation with your friend, and then begin writing. The next thing, improve vocabulary. By improving vocabulary, I do not mean that learn many words and then write all those words in one document and make it brilliant. No, that's not what I mean. By vocabulary, if you learn, if you're a starter and you're just stepping in the world of content writing, then if you have basic English, if you understand basic English and do not understand much of words, then it's always better to increase the amount of words that you know, because that way you can express yourself better. You can even write a certain words that may suit the phrases or sentences. So I would recommend you to learn every new word per week. So suppose if you are learning a new word on Monday along with the meaning, never learn words individually. Always learn the words with meaning. So if you learn on Monday and then you practice for the rest of the weekdays, that way you're making your memory stronger and the word concrete in your memory. So you're not focusing on learning faster, but learning slowly but effectively. So always learn for one word per week. If you want to learn words faster and improve your vocabulary, if you learn every single word every day, then there's a strong chance you are going to interchange the meanings or mess up the words, or there's a strong chance that you tend to forget the words that you learned. So you do not want to go back to square one. So always make it a point that you learn at least one word per week and then practice. Okay. Then the good ending. By good ending, I do not mean a very happy ending. No. By good ending, what I mean is make the document thought-provoking to the reader. The document must have an impact on the reader's mind. So if you're writing an opinionated article, you can write something that is supporting the above arguments that you have done, or you can give an emotional touch. So not emotional as the reader starts crying, but emotional in the sense the sentences should make the reader think in your perspective. You can even quote a person that supports your arguments that you have made earlier. That may become a good ending. Good ending not necessarily is a constant, but it comes by practice. You have to understand your style. It's all about styles. I have a different style of writing. You may have a different style of writing. So good ending is something that is flexible for everyone. There is no one right. There is no right and wrong. There is no formula to good ending. You can practice and see what you like in the article, what you do not like in the article. You can write one article, reread it again, and think about it. How can you make it better? How can you make the ending concrete and more powerful? So that's all about good ending. Then types of writing. So there are several types of writing. There's article writing, blog writing, marketing, technical writing, research writing. Let's discuss one by one. Article writing is is structured. So if you're writing about Indian Constitution, then you first write about the British rule. That is when we didn't have our fundamental rights, and we had British constitutions, and we followed that for a certain years. Okay, followed by then after independence, the constitution was formed. The Indian laws were being made clear to the citizens, and finally we had our fundamental rights, followed by what happened back then, when how the rights evolved case by case. What are the cases where the rights were implemented, like articles like Article 19 or Article 21, how they were being implemented in the cases, followed by what is happening now. Is our rules taken seriously, or what is the importance of Indian Constitution that you see now? That could be a structure to article writing. It's always a flow. There is no, you cannot write about the British rule and then whatever is happening now and again, followed by the Indian Constitution rules that were made back then. So you have to get your structure correct, the flow, the article needs to flow, the reader needs to imagine the situations in front of his eyes. So that's how you're going to write an article. The blog writing, blog is more like a conversation with a friend. You can make the blog more personalized. By personalized, I do not mean sharing personal experiences or personal life. But say suppose if you are writing about books, then you can say something like, I have ingrained this habit of reading in childhood, and I have read 50 books till now, and these 10 are what I found endearing and wonderful, and hence I would recommend them to you guys so that you can find some quality content. That way the reader feels that yes, this is something worth reading. Also, he got recommended 10 books that he wouldn't find anywhere. So that the data that a reader finds is worth investing his time. So he's going to come back again to your pieces and then read all of them, because he has got that worth of data that he would like to invest. So you can make your blog writing more like a along with conversation, you can make it more friendly, not use high-end words or make it professional. You can start with hi, your name and introduction. So it can be anything you would like to write. Marketing is based on social media. So if you are by marketing, I mean writing for social media. Just keep one point in mind that when you talk about social media handles like Instagram and Facebook, people do not come there to see your written pieces. So if you are writing a 100 words article or 500 words article, is going to get unnoticed, and you do not, and you it wouldn't be correct for you to get sad on that, because it's inevitable. People go there to see digital medias, like digital content, basically like videos, memes, reels, and influencers. So nobody goes there to read actually. So marketing comes into the picture when you have a product to sell, like many of the families started home baked foods started selling home baked foods, and they were showcasing their products online on social media. So for those kind of products, if your friend has a product and you want to sell it, then you're going to describe the product and make sure you're going to make sure that the product gets sold, but not necessarily long pieces again, because people don't come there to read. I'm saying it again and again so that you remember this. Your content on social media could be not more than 6 lines. 6 lines are a lot even on social media, but do not exceed 6 lines because people are just going to scroll down. Okay, so marketing, just 6 lines. Yeah. Technical writing is a niche. If you do not come from a technical background, then technical writing is not for you, because you are new and you do not want to get into all the technical things. Suppose if you do not come from a technical background and a client tells you to write about a certain machine, then you are going to invest a lot of time in learning the machine, the components, the process, how the machine works, what is the architecture of the machine, what component does what process comes after what process. So you are going to invest a lot of time, and if by chance you still do not understand, the client is going to get pissed at you and is not coming back to you. The technical writing, you're not going to even make your portfolio well, because you just got a negative feedback on your first order. So you do not want that. You always would like to avoid that. Do not go for technical writing unless you understand technology, even though you do not come from a technical background, or you do come from a technical background. If you're confident of your technical skills, then only go for technical writing. Otherwise, it's a big no. Research writing is again a niche. Research writing needs a lot of reading. If you're not a reader, research writing is not for you. If you're not a reader, actually, content writing is not for you, because both need a lot of reading. That's how you improve. You do not improve. So it's a 50-50. You improve by writing 50, that's 50%, and you improve by reading, that's 50% again. So it's a combination of both. But in research writing, if you're really taking up the task, it's your first or second client, and you're looking out for more prospects. And in research writing, you're spending 6 to 7 hours daily just reading, and that's not just random data. You're reading the papers published by the institutions, the renowned institutions. And mostly what happens, the papers are based on the study of examining certain set of people. So it may not relate to other geographical regions. Say suppose the paper is written by an institution which is based at US, and you are an Indian, you have grown up in India, and you have seen people around, and that data is not just relevant to the people in India. Then reading that and drawing a conclusion with regards to Indians is a waste, because that's not how because you have not seen that's how Indians work. So research writing is again reading a lot of papers, but even though you read a lot, you sometimes may not come to a conclusion, and you're going to lose hope, and you're going to get frustrated because the work is not getting done. So do not go into research writing if you're not, if you're new, and if you're established and want to explore more, you can obviously go to research writing. But if you're new, then create your portfolio first, and then go for niches like technical writing and research writing. But you need to have a certain years of experience to go in research writing, because you need to have a portfolio first, followed by a certain number of prospects, and then research writing, because it's a huge field, and you need to understand the field very well before stepping into it. So let's move ahead. Ways to learn through freelancing. So for those who do not know what freelancing is basically you are not hired. You are basically collaborating with a person or a company. By person, I mean a client or an entity or a company on a project. So it's a project to project basis work that you do for the company or the person, and you get paid accordingly. So you are not hired as an employee, but the companies collaborate with you for certain project. If they like it, then they are going to be a continuous client. There is not probably a strong chance that a client continues. If they really like you, then they may continue. But freelancing is, if they find out that somebody charging less than you, then they're going to go there and they're not going to come back to you. So that's what freelancing is. Basically, you're going to work for a company or a person on a project basis, and you get paid accordingly. So that's what I do. I'm a freelance content writer. Blog sites. So blog sites like Medium, freelancing, then Fiverr are sites that pay you for writing. Medium is a site where they are paid by the Medium company. The Medium company pays to the writers, I'm not sure about the exact amount they pay to the writers. But if you're interested in such blog sites, then you can always Google and find out. Freelancing and Fiverr are sites where a client puts out a requirement saying, "I need a content writer to write for me a 500-word article," and then you have to put out a bid saying why they must choose you, why you are a good fit for doing their project, and if along with the rate you're telling along with your rate. So if they find you really good, and if they find your bid really convincing, then they are going to give you the bid, and then you are going to work on the project. That's how these sites work. LinkedIn directly does not pay you, but it surely connects you with uh, good with people who are on a prestigious levels, people who are on CEO or who are CEOs and directors. So if you get connected with those kind of people, you are going to get something out of it. It's very important to connect to such people. There are millions and billions of people out there on LinkedIn, and your country doesn't matter there. It's a wide audience that you're going to see there. If you do not have a LinkedIn account, create one. If you have, that's a good start. Start establishing your LinkedIn account, your LinkedIn page. You can put out content, write anything, read posts, engage. So let the algorithm work for you. Do not create an account and then shut it down for 6 months and then go after 6 months and then find out this LinkedIn is just not for me. No, that shouldn't be your attitude. If you are creating an account, make sure that you put out something or go online every day and do some activity. So the algorithm gets your input to show you certain kind of people or certain kind of content that you would like to see. Even if you are looking out for internships, LinkedIn is the place. They have the reliable job opportunities or internship opportunities. You can explore that. Again, and then next is social media. By social media, as I explained, if you have a product, then social media is for you. Not necessarily direct payments, but you can, if you have a product or if you are an influencer, then social media is the best place you can be on, because that's how you are going to value your brand. Moving on to next. So we are going to discuss freelancing in detail. So yeah, let's begin. So yeah, 3 ways to work as a freelancer: by the word, by the hour, by the project. So I'm going to explain one by one. By the word means you have your rate you fix your rate per word. So say suppose if a client wants you to write a 500-word article and your per word rate is 1 rupee. 1 rupee is an example, not necessarily be 1 rupee. It can go below, or it can be less than 1 rupee or more than 1 rupee. So your client needs you to write a 500-word article. Your rate is 1 rupee per word. So 500 words into 1 rupee is rupees 500. The client has to pay you rupees 500 for writing 500-word article. If the client wants you to write 700, then 700 into 1 is 700 rupees. The client has to pay you 700 rupees. But I would recommend, if you are new and do not have a portfolio to show, do not keep your rate as high as possible, because there's a lot of competition in content writing, and you want your clients even to form a portfolio. To create a portfolio is a task, because when you're new, you're not trusted. So there are people who keep their rates as low as 50 paise per word. We do not even use that currency nowadays, but yes, some people do keep it as low as 50 paise or 75 paise. There are certain freelancers who believe in their quality and established, and they're doing well, and they keep a really high rate of themselves. But that comes after a certain after you have worked for certain years. So if you're starting new, do not keep the rate really high. So you can keep the rate somewhere around moderately, not too high, not too low. Depends on your content as well. If you are confident, then it's better that you keep moderate. If you are not confident, then it's better to start from as low as possible. As you create your portfolio, then you can slowly increase so that you have a portfolio to show. You even had your clients, you have worked, that's your experience, and then you can gradually increase your rates. By the word is so the sites like freelancing and Fiverr, they put out a requirement, and they sometimes the clients pay by the hour. So they say something like, I want a content writer to finish this work in 1 hour. So the 1 hour rate is this is, or they say that the hour rate for me is this many dollars. So you have to put out a bid saying that you will complete the task in as fast as possible, say suppose 2 hours or 3 hours. So you're paid by the hour. So if you've worked for 3 hours, you're paid a certain amount. If you're worked for 5 hours, you're paid a certain amount. So that's by the hour. By the project is you're given a project by the client. Depending on the size of the project would be uh, uh, as big as taking 1 month, or as small as just 2 days or 1 week, 2 week, can be anything. So you have to look at the size of the project and then put an amount to it. So if the client agrees, then you work by the project system. Then requirements to be a content writer. Requirements, the first being the high-speed internet connection. High-speed internet connection is a must nowadays. If you do not have a high-speed internet connection, it's worth investing in. You're not going to lose anything. The cost may be, if you're a student, the cost may be a little high for you, but if you invest in and you start freelancing, you are going to get your work done faster. So if you're living in a region where there is no good internet connection speed, or there is no network at all, then you can surely consider going to a co-working space that is nearest to you. There are many co-working spaces available in Goa. There's 91 Springboard, there's Fire, there's one in Anjuna, I don't remember the name, but there are many co-working spaces that have been coming up. They are providing good internet connection facilities along with other basic necessities, like if you're tired, you can have a cup of coffee. So they have a coffee machine in there. You get a small cubicle for a minimal amount. If you are a student and cannot afford, then you can always go for virtual space subscription. That's around, for Fire it is around 3,000 per year. So that's quite a good amount. I mean, you spend it while going out with friends just one time. So investing in on a yearly basis, it's a good subscription model that they have introduced. If you cannot afford even that much, if you're a student and you do not want to spend your money at all, then you can even work from home, from the comfort of your home. Just make sure that you have high internet speed so that your work is not delayed. You finish the work faster, and so that you can spend more time in searching new clients or learning something new or taking up a course. So that's your call. Then again, good communication skill. Good communication skill is a must in every field, not only content writing. But if you are good at communications, you can do anything. Understanding it better with an example. Say suppose you have a client that's hard to deal with. You cannot stand the client and you started hating him. But rather than being aggressive or rather than shouting or screaming at the client, say suppose he wants to negotiate on the cost, but you do not want to negotiate on the cost. You believe in your quality. So rather than being hard with him as well, you can be easy to work with. So you can tell him politely that you are not willing to negotiate on the cost. Sorry, we shall work in the future. That would just do it. You do not necessarily be aggressive, rude, or say something that you would regret later. Because in the industry, there's something called as word of mouth. So if you're really good and easy to work with, the client, no matter how hard he is to be worked with, he's going to tell 10 others. if you're really being aggressive, then again he's going to tell others. So because you're a new beginner and he's been in this industry for certain years, people are obviously going to believe he and not you, no matter how bad he portrays your image. So you do not want to get into all of that. So always be good at communication skill, know how to manage situations, do not get into unnecessary arguments or fights, or say anything that you wouldn't want to say. So yes, that's a good communication skill. Again, exceptional writing skill. Always invest in your writing skills. You may be a beginner, or you may be an intermediate, or an expert, but that shouldn't stop you from exploring more, or exploring more, or learning something new, or trying out new ways to write, or this could be it. Experiment and then reach to a conclusion that this is how that this is what that appeals me more than this method. So you can do that. Capability to deliver on time. If your client asks you that for this project, how many days are you going to take to complete, and you say 7 days, and you cannot complete the task on the seventh day, and it's your due date, and you do not submit the task, you exceed your day limit. Even if it's you extend it by a day, that's going to put out a negative impression of yourself in front of the client. The client is going to think that you're not being responsible and do not take your work to begin with, right? So if you feel that it's going to take me 7 days, ask your client that I'm going to take 10 days for this project. So that way, if you can finish the task before time, it's win-win for both of you guys. But if you do not, if you are just not able to, if you're not able to finish the task in 7 days, then you have your 3 days extra. So that way, the client is satisfied that you have delivered in 10 days, and you are satisfied that I have delivered the project on the set date. So it's a win-win again for both of you. So yes, what do you offer to your clients? What is your expertise? So if you are a beginner, how to start freelancing? What is the expertise you're selling? Is it quality, or low rates, or over delivering, or delivering before time? You have to figure that out for yourself. Nobody else is going to tell you what to do, what is your expertise. You have to figure out and come to a conclusion that yes, this is my quality, this is my expertise. If you are really good at content writing or writing anything, if you're really good at it, then quality is your expertise. If you have the quality, you need not negotiate on the cost. For starters, you may negotiate on the cost, but if you already have a portfolio, then half the battle is won. You have your portfolio, you have worked with certain companies, so you need not compromise on cost, because you have quality. So quality is your weapon. Use your strength well. If you're not confident of your quality, so first thing I would say, judge yourself honestly, because nobody knows you better than yourself. Ask yourself how good you are at writing. So when you answer that question, you can decide your expertise. So if you think that you're not good at quality, then you can lower down your rates, because there are certain clients who would compromise on cost rather than who would compromise on quality rather than cost. So they are going to find low paying freelancers so that they can get the work done from them, and they do not have to pay a huge amount. Because when a freelancer provides good quality, then it's tough for the client to negotiate on the cost. So if you're providing lower rates, such clients can become your clients. So you will have a portfolio, you will have experience, and then gradually you can increase your rate. But for starters, if your client wants you to write a 500-word article, and you are just and you're just not able to finish it in 500 words, so you extended it to 600 words. say suppose the topic was too wide to cover in 500 words, that you take the responsibilities for the extra 100 words, because article delivering, but it's going to be worth it in the coming years. Then again, delivering.
Hello. Hi, Ela. Your voice is lagging and it's breaking.
Or on time. Delivering before time or on time is important. So yeah, what the model of freelancing looks like, I'm sure you must be wondering. So let's see that. So there is this extremity of fear that you see. So fear of what if I fail? What if not? Content writing is not my cup of tea. What if content writing is just not me? What if I get the project, I approach a client, I get the project, but I'm not able to finish it? What the client is going to think of me? Am I going to have a bad impression in front of him? So that's one extremity. The other extremity is, yes, I can do this. The world needs more content writers. There are content writers, but there are no content writers who write qualitatively. Everybody writes quantitatively. There are certain content writers who do not know the difference between there and there, or they are and there. So maybe the word uh, so the intersection of both the extremities is freelancing. Doing freelancing is risk taking basically, because there are days when there are days when you do not have work to do. There are days when you are overburdened with work. So again, to have a balance is important. There are weeks and weeks where you don't find clients. There are no prospects. There's nothing. You're not getting. You're emailing people, but nobody's replying to you. But there are days where you have a lot of work and you do not have the time to just breathe. So risk taking is important in freelancing. It's all about risk. Like I did, I having a technical background, I knew I wanted to write. I always knew it. I started my page and started. I would write every day, and that's how I got better at it. It's not that what you learn since starting. It's by practice. It's a process. So by practicing every day, you improve. Yeah. So if you are willing to take the risk, then go for freelancing. Also, there are clients who are hard to work with, who just tell you basically what clients do is clients tell you what are their requirements, what they want to be written, but when you write it, then there are certain revisions to be made. They are going to contradict their own points, and you are going to pretend to be okay with that, and you are going to revise it and then give it back. So it's all about balance. It's all about having the right sense of mind. So yes, freelancing is a risk. It's not going to give you comfort that a job is going to give you. But if you are willing to bet your career, or just take a risk to do something else, just to have a glimpse of it or how it feels to do freelancing, then you can go ahead with it. But do not go ahead with high hopes, because you are going to lose hopes if at some point time, and then you're just going to give up. So yeah, freelancing is a risk. Take it if you are prepared, mentally prepared for it. If you can afford to take a risk, then you must go for freelancing. So you have to decide what works best for you. as we have discussed before, there are 4 sections here. So the first thing, focus on your skill, build your skill over the time. If you start today, you're not going to get you're not going to be the best of content writing field. It's going to take time. There are several years that you have to invest in writing. You have to read continuously. You have to work on your writing. You have to reread your documents again and again to how can I make it better? What is that I lack? You are going to compare your first article with the second article, second with the third. So always improve yourself. Focus on your skill. Use your skill as your shield. So it's a process. It is going to take time, but if you invest and if you are really willing to do this, then it's worth it. It's worth putting in your time, investing your money, or not necessarily much of money, but the days where you do not get any clients, then you have to use your own sense. So the second thing, build your brand. Be there on LinkedIn. Start putting out content. Build your brand. It's not you have to put out your content every single day. Not every single day. Do not take it literally, but put it out frequently, as much as you can create. If you're a student, you have plenty of time. With the colleges being online, after the college hours, you can always have the time for yourself. There you can put out content. You can even start with humor, put out jokes that you think are funny, even a conversation with your friend which turned into a joke. How your class laughed at a friend who said something, or who did something. That can be your content too, not necessarily a high-end words or some current affairs opinion, or a political opinion, or how politicians are doing in India. That's not that can be a content too. But if you are going for a lightweight, or you're not willing to read or and keep track of politicians or leaders or whatever is happening in India, then you can put out your light content too. So always put out good content. Do not go for controversial ones. Always be balanced. Do not create a controversy and get famous for wrong reasons. Utilize your content as a tool. Your content is your tool. You can, if you are, if you think content writing is not for you, then you can go for either Photoshop or you can either go for Photoshop or be a content a video editor. That is art as well. You can even shoot a video, edit and put it out. That's what YouTube is all about. You can write a poem and then shoot a video. So experiment and explore. If you want to be the master of content writing, then yes.
Sorry to interrupt, but we missed the last part for around 1 or 2 minutes. Like we couldn't hear you. So could you please repeat that?
Do you want me to repeat the first, second, third section? What is the last thing that you could listen?
Guys, please mention in the chat section if you want the sections to be repeated. Yes, they want it to be repeated, so we can have a repeat of all the sections. Okay, they want a repeat from third section, so we'll go with the third one.
See my screen. Okay, third part. Yeah, so utilize content as a tool. So when if you think that content writing is not what you enjoy, but you enjoy talking, you enjoy communicating, you may write a poem or and shoot a video. A small videos can do. Because that's what YouTube is all about. You can invite your friend and write a script, invite your friend. You can share your views, his views as well. Make it like a conversation and share it as a podcast. So utilize your content as a tool, not restrict yourself to a certain field like content writing. If you think that writing is really boring, I cannot read, then you can put out other content as well. Need not be just writing. You can even if you think writing is not just me, then you can even say out your opinions as you can even use technology. You can use text to speech or vice versa, and you can work on that. You can always improve your content. Not do not restrict to just one field. You can even shoot your videos, create content, take up a course. Um, do not stop. If you want to be the best at content writing, then reading is a must. Start reading right away. If you're planning to start now, there's nothing like anything. If you're a student, then it is better that you start as early as possible, because you are young, you're a student, you are not looking for a job, you are going easy with your studies. Also, you're starting content writing as a side hustle, so you can explore more than people who have graduated and started taking freelancing as a career option. You're just there to explore. You can try out new ways. You can see what you enjoy, like reading or talking about a book. You can give out a summary of the book you read. Take up a course. The people teaching there are there for a reason. They have lived the journey you are going to start. So take their experiences, take their tricks, shortcuts that they tell you, not necessarily the shortcuts that you wouldn't want to take, but take the shortcuts, the legitimate ones, and you can apply them in your career, in your journey of freelancing as well, so that you have something to look forward to. You know, this is happening because of this, or I improved this because of this. So constantly improve yourself, never stop. So enough of content already. I do not want to overload the content. So summing up what we discussed as of now, let's sum up the previous slides. So first thing is know your skill, know what you are good at, be the best judge of yourself, not others. Um, judge your capability, content creating capability. You know the best. You know, if you are not good, then why am I not good? List down the points. If you think you are going to forget it, take a paper, say I'm good at this, I'm not good at that. Why you are not good at that? List down again, and then you can know your skill. You may like writing, but you are not good at when it comes to speaking or communicating. You may have really good writing skills, but when it comes to speaking, then you lose confidence. Why is that? Why am I speaking? Why am I underconfident of speaking? How you can overcome the weaknesses. But I would recommend, instead of improving your weaknesses, polish your skill, polish your strengths. That way you can become the best at what you are good at. But by working on your weaknesses, you are just going to get average or mediocre. And if you are going to be mediocre at something else, so always know your skill. Then decide how to monetize your skill. Just like I told you, when I changed my career,
Hi, Ela. Sorry to interrupt again. Can you hear me?
Profession, you are going to enjoy each and every task you do. So even if you have a client or that even if you have a project that you have to finish in certain time deadline and you do not have the time for it, then even if you have to work late in the night or get up early morning to finish it, then you're going to see it as a commodity rather than a responsibility, and you're going to enjoy that journey as well. You're not going to see it as somebody is forcefully telling you to do something. That shouldn't be the case. Always enjoy what you do. Passion and profession, if matched, then you can always monetize it and you're going to enjoy the journey rather than the destination. Then again, stand out. Stand out as a freelancer at whatever you do. Do not be stagnant. Even when you become the best at your field, then do not stop growing. You can. There's always a chance to grow more. What is it that you provide to your clients? What is it? How you are different than others? Figure that out. Work on it. How you can make that habit or that skill of you better. Say suppose if you're not good at, say suppose, structuring, but you are really good at communications, then you can convince your clients that this structure is because of so and so facts, so that readers can read this first and then this later, but they are not going to read the later part because they are going to get bored, because you are writing about a product and they want to see the product and they do not want to read all of that. So you have structured the document in such a way that they read the important things first. So if you are good at communications, you can use your communication skills this way as well. The last point is grow yourself. Do not stop. Learning is a process. You have to learn throughout your life. It never stops. Even when you become the best, even you are considered as the best content writer in the world, even then there's a chance that you can explore and then you can grow. Always share your knowledge. Do not restrict it to yourself, because your execution is your execution. That cannot be stolen away from you. The way you present, the way you write, the way you structure your document, your content, that is all yours. That cannot be taken away from you. Whatever is materialistic, that can be, yes, that can be taken away from you, that can be copied or utilized as somebody else as their own, but they cannot steal whatever, how you think or whatever ideas you get or the way you think or the way you present. Whatever you think about yourself, that cannot be stolen. You always can come up with new idea, can implement new ways, and can earn through it. If content, do not go after money, become start money will yeah, that's all. So grow yourself. So yeah, thank you for such a for being such a lovely audience. You're being patient. You have listened everything. So if there are any questions, I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Miss Ella. I hope I'm audible now.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, yes, we have certain questions in the chat box.
Okay.
Okay, the first question is: font size applicable for all kind of blogs, or it should be just consistent irrespective of the size and font, considering it is a reasonable size?
No, by font and size, I meant always make your document desirable, so the other person is interested in reading it. You do not want to. You do not want the person to be thinking that, yes, this is very clustered or compact. I do not want to read it. Make the heading or title bold, so that, and increase the size of the title from. So the title size must be greater than the other body of the document. So always work on structuring. The font can be anything you like, but do not make it decorative. People are not there to see your decoration. They are there for the content and the quality you provide. So make your size and font visible, easily readable, and the person would want to read it. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question was by Abdul. Can you please specify the question, Abdul? You can comment in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself as well. There is another question. Do you freelance on Voila?
I tried that, but I think that's really time consuming. Freelancing is also another site, but there are many scams and frauds that have been happening there. Sometimes people put out a requirement and then they just remove the post. So when you put out a bid, you're wasting your time in putting out bids. So you can explore those websites, but I necessarily do not use Fiverr or freelancing.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Which one do you prefer for a newbie? A freelancer, job, or internship?
Okay, that's a wide question basically. If you're a newbie, you have to write for your own self. You During internships, the companies usually do not pay, so they get the work done by unpaid internships. I do not agree with the concept of unpaid internship, because if you are working for somebody, then they must pay you because you're investing your time along with the efforts. So there is nothing that you learn in an internship. Do not go for internships if it is unpaid. Always ask if they are paying, and then you can join. Job for a student, you have to be perfect because the boss is expecting a lot from you. He's paying you for the work you do, and if you are not good at what you are doing, then he is going to get disappointed again. In a company, the person at higher level has the power to dominate or say anything or whatever it is, or keep you late till the night, till the work gets done. For an example, I had gotten an opportunity to I had gotten a job opportunity where it was mentioned in the legalities that do not leave till the work is completed. So no matter how far you leave or whatever your difficulties are, you just cannot leave. So if you're not good at what you do, then there is a strong chance that you are going to get insulted or shouted at or screamed at. So to avoid that, always practice, get better at what you do. Once you are confident that yes, the people are liking it, so the best way could be put out content on LinkedIn or put out videos on your social media handles or see what is the response. Do polls, see how people are liking it, people are not liking it, then put out polls why you are not liking it, why you're liking it. People do that. They are good at judgments basically. So always be better and then go for opportunities. Do not jump to opportunities, because even if you are freelancing as a content writer and you're not confident of your quality, and you know it that your content is not good, then the person is never going to come back at you even after you improve. So that's a big no. So get better first and then start your journey. Yeah.
Thank you. Our next question is how to research for a particular blog. What all resources do you use?
So depends on what the blog is about. If it's a simple topic like books, then you must have read some or the other books. You can recommend that, like I do for just when I am a reader. I like reading. So whenever I feel like picking up a book, I do pick up and then put out the review on my page. You can check that out. How I write, what are the words that I use. Also, whenever you're putting out content, do not use high vocabulary, because people having basic vocabulary will not understand it, and they are not your relatives, or they are not your family to read it with interest. They are just going to scroll down. If they do not understand it, they are just going to scroll down. So always use words that are easily understandable. For an example, say nepotism. Nepotism was not known earlier to anybody. Later, it became a trend because of some celebrities, and then it was widely known. But before that trend, nobody knew what nepotism is. So, if you are researching about a blog, then it's the simple. You can put out your own opinion, like books. If it is research based or opinion based, then you have to go on Google, find out good sources. Do not go for any source. Find out what's being printed on newspaper, because in a newspaper they just do not post anything. There are certain editors that look after the content. There's junior editor, senior editor, then senior editor, and then the copy goes for final publishing. So always look out for trustworthy sources. Do not take content from any other site. Say if the site is, when the site was created, is the source trustworthy, reliable or not. So newspapers are the best sources, I would say.
There is a question similar to the related to the answer you just gave. Can you recommend some books on writing or certain novels which are really well written to learn how to write nicely?
Okay. So there are no books that can teach you writing. It comes by practice. No book is going to teach you how to write and what to write. Like I did, I created my poetry page. You may not necessary to create a poetry page, but I learned through writing, practicing. I would write quotes, then I started writing stories. For books, I would say Amish, who has written a set of books like Ram, Sita, Ravan, or one on Shiva trilogy. There are 3 books. He writes really well. I mean, if mythology interests you, then you can go for that. Other is the Mark Zucker's. I do not remember the name, but Nicholas Sparks, who has written 2 by 2 and the Notebook, I guess. He is the renowned artist you can look forward to, but always look out for bestseller that are whose copies have been sold out for 10 million or so, because there are books which do not have a standard, which are just out there, and it got famous and people started buying it, so the copies got sold. But always look out for 10 million copies of the book which has sold 10 million copies or more. So that way you can say that the writer is really good, and you can learn through that.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What about SEO? How do we keep that in mind when writing an article?
So SEO is search engine optimization. So whenever you write you write an article, see the keywords in it. Say suppose if you are writing on current affairs. So if you are writing on take a latest farmers protest, then farmers protest is your keyword. Then again, the farmers bill is your keyword. So these are the important keywords that people are going to search on the internet. So when you type such keywords, then your article must be visible to them. So use such keywords. But if you are a beginner, do not go for search engine optimization, because you are going to get confused and waste a lot of time rather than investing more on and focusing more on writing. First improve, become an established writer, and then you can go for SEO. If certain clients demand SEO, then you can just say that I am not sure how that is used, but I can write an article and give it to you, and your technical guy can do that. So yeah, that way you will have the opportunity to write as well. Also, SEO is not your field, but somebody else is going to do it for you. For starters, later on you can learn it always, but for starters, do not get into the field of SEO. It's a huge field. Yeah.
Thank you. We have an interesting question. If there is a work which is not done by us on time, how can we handle our client in that situation?
I think that question has already been answered. If you need some more time, then you can always extend it at first. Do not judge the project by the way it looks. You may given a topic, but that topic needs a lot of researching. So do not say that this is just my this is just I've been doing this and this is not that is important and I'll just do it in 2 to 3 hours. Do not have that attitude. Always ask for more time. If you think that you can complete in 10 days and still you're not able, and you have told the client that you will complete it in 10 days, but 10 days your deadline is here and you have still a lot of work to do, then you can call the client or put out an email that I have tried, but there are certain issues that came up and I could not finish it. At least I then you can mention down what is remaining and what is finished. So that way the client knows that you have already worked halfway and just halfway is remaining. And the client knows that much of progress is being done and this guy is really doing the job, but since he's new, he needs time. So the client will be happily give you the time. So always be logical and practical in your response. Do not say that I need some time. The client is going to think, what is it? Why? The work had been given 10 days ago. The work should have been done. But always be practical and logical while explaining yourself. Need not write big emails because big companies, the seniority levels are always busy. They're not going to read your entire email, but keep it short. Just list down the points in the point form so that the person actually looks at the keyword and understand what you mean. So that way you can talk to a client, but it's always better that you call and tell. If he's not picking up the call, do not call back. Understand that he's busy or he's not able to answer your calls. Do not irritate the client, but you can always go for an email later, but always note down the points. Do not write it in long sentences. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question. What is best as per you? Research, technical blog, or article writing?
So this lies in your interest. If you like writing articles, go for it. If you like technical blogs, go for it. If you like research based, go for it. But be ready for the consequences. It's your call. If you are taking the risk, take the risk. But be ready to face if you're not able to help yourself. Your friend is really not into content writing. He does not like to read. He's not willing to help you in that. He doesn't understand it. You're all alone and you need to help yourself. If you're taking technical, say suppose if you're taking something complex, then you should be there for yourself by getting yourself out, because if you're not able to complete anything technical, then you're not going to touch anything technical in the future, because you're going to think that no, I have tried this is not my cup of tea, I'm just unable to do this, and I'm just not going to touch this niche, I've give up. So this is the attitude most of the time when you start new and you're not able to complete the task. So always go for something light. Always start something. If you have never written anything, never, then you can start writing by writing on yourself, or by taking some light topics like writing about environment or writing about kids or anything light that you like. Yeah. So research base, do not go for research base at all. Research base is going to take a lot of time. If you are working on your final year project and you have to read a lot of research papers, then you can go for research based papers, because the most of the participants are from engineering background. In the final year, you have to read a lot many papers to understand and then write your own research paper. So if you are in the final year and this is something related to your project or this needs to be done anytime soon, then you can go for research-based papers, because you have read already, not because you are going to read. So a light topics, always a safe zone. Yeah, next question.
Personally, what do you think is the best way to monetize your writing as a rookie?
I quite didn't understand the question. Can you please elaborate? Rahul, right?
Rahul, if you want, you can even unmute yourself. Till then, let's take the next question.
Yes. Sure.
What kind of blogs do you suggest we write for personal branding for our personal website?
Depends on what site do you write. If you are going for blog sites like Medium, then you can write about personal branding. So what kind of personal branding do you want? Is it that you are a student and sharing your experience, or is it about your product that you built when you were in third year and you want to write about it? Or is it that you want to write for the sake of writing? What is it that you want to write on? If you're writing on LinkedIn, you can, as I said earlier, you can even write about your jokes in the classroom, what the teacher said and that made you laugh, or what. Do not be controversial with what you're writing. Personal branding could be anywhere. Start with LinkedIn, write small sentences, see how it works, because people are really tough to like your content on LinkedIn if you're not established. If you're established, then they are really happy, but at first nobody is going to like it. You are the only person who is going to like your own post, so that's going to sadden you for a bit. But do not lose hopes. Start something small. Do not go for blogs in the first go. If you are going for blogs, then either send it to be either write it for yourself, or you can make it as a portfolio. But if you want your personal website, do not go for it, because that's really tedious job. You can start on already existing platforms like Facebook is a big no. Instagram is a big no. LinkedIn is a place to be at. Always connect to good people having the same background, see how they are writing, and then you can channelize your content that way. Not necessarily plagiarize, write your unique content, but see their way of writing. Or even you can follow me and see how do I write, how do I structure sentences, because anybody can write, but not everybody can write qualitatively. It's important. So personal branding doesn't come easy. You have to build it. Many years go in that. I established my. It required 1 year for me to establish my personal account on LinkedIn. So you can first start by small sentences and then go for personal branding. Also, personal branding is not subjective. Personal branding comes with the quality of content you share, by the opinions you share on any platform. So do not be in the illusion of personal branding comes with writing. It is the process that you go through. You put out content, get rejected, put out content, get rejected, put out content, get rejected, and then one of the posts goes viral. So yes, that's what personal branding is.
Thank you. There's a question by Justin D'Souza. I'm a freelancer in video editing on Fiverr, but suddenly clients stopped coming. What can I do about it?
So see why clients stop coming. If you were doing really well before, then what is it that you did to get your clients? Or if the site is really not having much of a scope for video editors, you can always change the platform. There are many platforms that are available on internet now, or you can set out your profile on one of the social media handles. You can create your video editing page on Instagram and start editing videos, putting out content for free first. Then you can put out ads, and then the personalized ads can get you clients, but not necessarily. If one thing doesn't work for you, do not keep on putting out beats if that doesn't work for you. Find out your way, what works for you, because there are many video editors that have been there. Every field has much competitors. It's a whole lot of competitive world. Even content writing, every other person is a content writer, but not necessarily a qualitative one. If you are confident of your skill, then you can survive anywhere, not necessarily on just one platform. Instagram is a place for video editors. Digital content really sells on Instagram. You can try out that. Simply edit videos, work for free for first 6 months, work for yourself, and then you will start seeing the difference. If you are still not seeing the difference, then you may be doing something wrong. People see what you show to them, not what they want to see. So always remember that you want to show your video editing skills, you can always show to them, but they are not going to come and see how good you are, because you need to put out a lot of videos out there first for them to come to you, and then you may get clients. Other way could be, if you are really not good at, if you are not confident of your video editing skills because you are not getting clients, then you may work or collaborate with photographers or other video editors who have been doing well since last couple of years. They are always in need of interns. So, and they are paid internships, to be specific. So always approach them. There are many wedding photographers, or there are many photo shoots that have been happening. And photo shoots are not just photo shoots now. There's been a trend that the videos are been selling as well. Say maternity photos or videos or wedding videos. You can go for them, learn how they are doing it. They have been surviving on video, on their skills for years now. So you can surely learn from them. Yeah. Next question, please.
Yes, next question. How does one use words that optimize their content? Do we write first and then optimize or replace with SEO relevant words?
If you are, again, I'm saying this, if you are new, do not go after SEO. I know there's a high demand of SEO out there, but if you are not going to produce quality content, then how are you going to optimize and put out search engine optimization related content? So first you have to see that, sorry, what is the question? Can you repeat?
Yes. The question was, how do one use words that optimize their content? Do we write first and then optimize or replace with SEO words?
The easiest way to do it could be write your article, reread it again. Think of it. How can you make it better? Change it. The easiest way could be, if you're writing a sentence, then for every sentence, so ask yourself the question, so what? If it is not relating to the previous content, erase it. Be ruthless with editing. You are learning. Do not be sad that you have erased entire data that you have written. You can always begin again. So ask yourself, so what? So this question is going to help you a lot while writing. If you think this sentence does not match here, it matches in the later part of the paragraph, you can cut it out and paste it in the later paragraph. Be ruthless while editing. Do not try to optimize it, or do not try to make it the best in the first go. Give it 5 to 6 iterations. That's how you are going to learn, and then you are going to look at your own article and you're going to think, yes, this is the potential I'm looking for. So you are going to be happy with yourself. You do not need to be competitive in the first go, but you need to compare yourself with the first version that you have written. So do not go after SEO. SEO is a big field. There are many courses available. If you're really interested in SEO, then you can take up courses, learn how to do that, practice it with your own articles. Do not go for clients and then practice on their articles, because there is a lot of there's a lot of risks there, because they are already established. They have a certain respectability in the society. Do not fiddle with their respectability. Always try it on your article, learn SEO, see what are the keywords in your article, and then try to optimize your SEO based article. Yeah.
Can you suggest any online sources like Search Engine Journal, Yoast SEO, etc.? Can you suggest any other online sources like the above ones for tips and tricks for content and SEO?
There is no trick for content and SEO. As I said before, it comes from practice. I never use tricks. I improved myself. I can give you my example because I know myself best. I literally wrote. I created my account on a platform. I wrote every single day when I started writing. The platform gave out challenges that use this word in your story, or use this word in your quote, or your quote needs to be in 5 to 6, just 3 to 4 lines, and you need to have just 4 words in the first line, 3 in the second, 5 in the third. So these are the challenges that you can take. You do not have to go online and look at the other people and decide that this is what I'm going to do. No, the courses are suggested because the repetitive questions about SEO were popped in. But I do not. I never learned through courses, to be honest. But if you think courses are going to help you and you can learn something out of it, then obviously go for it. There is no right way or wrong way. Also, online content, the people are going to put out there, or the journals you are going to see, they have certain style of writing. You are going to have a certain style of writing. I'm going to have a certain style of writing. Not necessarily their writing is correct and yours is incorrect. So do not get into the illusion that you're right. No, this is not how you're supposed to write. You're supposed to write like the artist in the journal. But everybody has a different style of writing, and it is never wrong or right. Everything is right if you see it. But also, do not live in the illusion that this is your first copy and this is the best you could do. No, then you have not explored your potential. Always see how you can structure your document the way you want. Suppose you have written one article, and then you think this is all I could do to this article. You have taken another topic, written the article, you think, then you compare both. You see the difference, you will be improved. Then you go for the third one, take up any other random topic, write about it, then you see the difference. So it is never about journals or sources that you can learn through. Self-examination and self-criticism will help you to be the best. There is no writer that can help you. If you would like to see how the writing styles of different writers, you can always pick up a novel and read. So there is no right way or wrong way. There is no journal, there is no writer, there is no YouTuber that is going to help you, because it is not engineering to understand the concepts. There are no structured concepts to understand. It is again self-realization. No, this is not enough. I need to add something extra, something more that I need to add. But apart from that, do not go to other writers to learn, because everybody is going to have a different opinion, and you're just going to get confused and go just down the spiral. Yeah. So always write your own article, improve by your own self. Give your articles to your family members, tell them to read how they found it, get the feedback, give it to your friends who are into literature, ask them what is the improvement I can do. You can always take the feedback, but do only that. But if the feedback is really practical and logical, then only you implement. Simply do not take a feedback from an architecture student or engineering student who doesn't know anything about writing and then implement it. That's going to worsen the situation. So that's about it.
Thank you, Marcella. There is one participant asking, can you share your Instagram handle?
Yeah, it's with my poetry page is the Visionary Woman. I can show you the slide I have, but not necessary it is visible, but still we'll share it in a while. Yeah. So here it looks like this. Also, here you are going to learn a lot than my personal Instagram handle. My personal Instagram handle is with the name pink_12. But if you are sending, just message me that you have attended this, otherwise I'm not letting you in. So if you have any queries, if you're shy to ask here any other questions because you're scared of the people here, you can always text me on LinkedIn or my poetry page or my Instagram handle, personal Instagram handle. But if you want to look at my poetry page, it's in here, The Visionary Woman. Here I have posted book reviews, quote stories. If you want to read all those books and find out, you can read the reviews and then figure out if you want to read a book or not. There are many book reviews and there are many more going to come. So yeah, that is what I can say.
Thank you so much, Ella. The answers were really detailed and it was very informative. And I hope our interns, or I would call, pardon, there is a question, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. There is one question. I like to write on social topics like politics, pornography, rape, child abuse, etc. But I have been suggested by people not to create my own website or social media handles. So can you help me in sites or platforms or organizations who can help me?
Yeah, sure. If you like to write on certain topics, these are very sensitive topics. Nobody likes to talk about it. But if you are really interested in writing and researching about them, then you can approach newspapers. By newspapers, I mean if they are online or certain organizations like NGOs. There's Gunj, there's Arz, Anyay Rahit Zindagi, there's again one on Soot. There's one NGO called Soot. They have been educating underprivileged children and providing them medical facilities. You can collaborate with them. You can ask them whether you can write on such you can write such articles, and then will they be interested in publishing them. Or if they say no and if you do not see anybody who can help you out with this, then you can go on Instagram, create again your handle, because there are certain people who have been educating people on certain history of India, or how it happened, or current affairs. Like there's one Instagram handle called Abhi and Niu. They have been educating people on a lot of stuff. You can do that. But before going to do that, let me be clear, you are going to face a lot of hate. But do not be scared. There is a lot of communalism and a lot of judgmental people. There's again religion-based, casteism-based opinions that have been going on. There is a differentiation on the basis of even minorities and majorities. But if we are ready to take that in, the negativity is going to be a more lot than the positivity. If you are ready for that, mentally prepared, then you can always go ahead and create your own. But if you are weak-minded or you get really affected by what people think, then you are going to shut down the Instagram handle in 1 day or 2. Also, when you're going to put out 50 videos straight away, then the people are going to see, because Instagram, it's very important to understand Instagram algorithm. Instagram algorithm does not work the way you would want it to be, because once you put out content, Instagram algorithm sees how much content you have put out. Then then it will start showing in the explore section. If explore section people are choosing to look at it, then if people are spending some time on it or liking it or commenting on it, then it's going to show to more people. But if people are not going to like it, if it is shown to wrong kind of people, who create a mess out of it, or who are going to abuse you or say names or whatever, then your handle will not work as you would like it to work. So always be patient. If you're creating an Instagram handle, do not be in a hurry. Give it time, but be mentally ready to face anything and be ready for the consequences. I'm not scaring you. This is the reality. This is a reality check. Before going in any field or creating anything or doing anything, you must see whether what the reality is, and you must take calculated risks. I'm not saying don't do it at all or go ahead do it, but it's your final call. If you want to take this calculated risk, then you can always, you cannot block 100 people if they are putting out negative comment. So that's your limit. So if you are okay with having negative comments or having positive, so it's 0.2%. But negative are going to be a lot. But if you are established, when you get established and you develop a certain audience or fans, then it's going to work for you. But for a certain years or certain months, you have to deal with it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Masala. It was a great session by you, and I hope our interns, I would call them our passengers, and all other participants gained a good amount of knowledge regarding today's session. I would also like to request all the participants here to fill the feedback form. It will be very helpful for us, and we may now move to the end of the session.